One of the major trending stories last week was Cassper, more specifically his baby mama, Thobeka Majozi, who posted on her birthday on Instagram, a long post um, about how Cassper had cheated on her while she was in and out of hospital, being there for their son, Ukhoto. And the son had been diagnosed with cancer and he was battling cancer. One of the major things I think in that post was the fact that the son is now cancer free. He'd undergone chemotherapy. And I think that's something to be celebrated, of course. Cancer is an insane disease that destroys many lives, that leaves people in a lot of pain. And I can only imagine the medical costs if you're using private healthcare for cancer. A lot of people were attacking Cassper on that particular day. I think Thobeka Majozi's Instagram handle is Bex Does It Better. Cassper recently married I think his childhood sweetheart, a lady who was like his best friend, Pulane. They married. Their marriage was sort of shady. They were wearing like this Nigerian attire, and it just looked like a quick umhlanganiso of a wedding. And then thereafter, Cassper spoke about how he'd found Jesus, how he'd had a revelation, and he went on platforms to speak about his newfound love for Jesus Christ and his commitment to Christianity. He'd go on Mpumile Dwaba's podcast to speak about his life, his change, the experiences he'd gone through, acknowledging some of his shortcomings before he decided to now walk in the path of the Lord. And he'd later on go and sit with El Tito on the El Tito podcast and speak about things like being addicted to sex. If you've never seen that podcast, please go check it out. Like, Cassper Nyovest is one funny ass dude. Huge charisma, of course, super talented, amazing rapper, incredible dancer, of course. Look, people debate his rap skills, at least the people from the hip hop fraternity or the hip hop culture. They like Casper's bars are but you can't deny his dancing, you can't deny his showmanship. What he did with Fill Up the Dome before the dome got sold to We Buy Cars is nothing short of sensational. And he's been one of the superstars we've had in South Africa. Himself, may he rest in peace, his nemesis in the game, Kenan Forbes, known as AKA. Kenan Forbes, AKA, may he rest in peace, was superstars, man. And he inspired so many people. But the guy is hella funny. And he spoke about his addiction to sex, spoke about porn, spoke about AKA, spoke about music, spoke about Jesus. And after Thobeka released that post, after Cassper was attacked by so many people on social media, how could this guy abandon his baby mama when his child has got cancer? And I was reminded, of course, of the dangers of social media and the dangers of one-sided stories and the dangers of convenience. So nowhere in the post did Thobeka say that Cassper abandoned their son. Nowhere. And anyone who was tracking Cassper at the time of their child being born and those things would know that Cassper was there for his son. There's pictures of him in hospital. There's pictures of him with his boy. Loving father. And I'd like to think even today, loving father. And on top of that, he only speaks highly of his baby mama, Thobeka Majozi, saying she's an amazing mother to their child. So at no point did she say he abandoned his son. He didn't. He was there. So while she was in and out of hospital, he was there. Of course, he was working. He has to provide for his child. I can only assume, I have no intel on this, but I can only assume that he was doing the heavy lifting financially for them at the time, even though he was seeing someone else. The issue here was the cheating. And cheating is a really bad thing. It destroys people, it hurts people. For some people, it's the equivalent of domestic violence, because it is a form of emotional and sometimes, many times, psychological abuse. Cheating can make you go crazy. He cheated. She said it, and he's owned it. And that hurt her. But it was for her, not for their son. So when people bunched his fatherhood or his ability to be a good father with his failings as a boyfriend, as a partner. Those are two separate issues. The idea of bunching them together is noble, but it is not fair, because you cannot say he was cheating on this woman and he abandoned his son. That is not true. Now, many different people then argue based on their moral compass on whether cheating while your son is sick, it's a good thing. Of course, the mother of your child is not in a good state. I can only imagine yourself as a man, you're also not in a good state. Your child is not well. Your firstborn child, your son, and you're in this situation. But at the same time, you have a attraction to someone else. For me, you could almost argue that your son is in hospital, your son is sick. How could you be going to work? How could you still be showing up and performing? How could you still be laughing? And it's like, but guys, life has to go on. Just because you see me laughing at a joke, just because you see me making online content, just because you see me performing at a gig, you see me showing up at work and giving my best, does not mean I'm not in pain and mourning and suffering and thinking about my child, and I'm not showing up for my child. This is the real world. Life goes on. So in the same vein, it can happen that a person is still loving you. It could be that Cassper and Thobeka at that time were still having sex with each other, still going out on dates while their child is in hospital. Now, if someone saw them, it's like, but isn't your child sick? Why are you guys at a restaurant? Why are you guys being intimate? It's like, it's life. It just so happened that Cassper would do those things with another woman who is not the mother of his child. And sadly, yes, it did hurt the mother of his child because they were still in a relationship at the time. And he needs to be attacked for that accordingly. Cassper Nyovest the next day, because it came out that he was in Dubai at the time, having the time of his life. And it seems that, he posted videos and other content in Dubai, there on the dunes. This story is from a couple of years ago. So it's not that Thobeka is in hospital now, dealing with the child now. Cassper's abandoned his fatherly duties now. Cassper's living his life now. Thobeka's sharing a story from years ago. One of the things Cassper raises in his video, taking accountability was, we'd kind of agreed with the mom that we're not going to publicize this thing. So I guess she unilaterally decided by herself that she's not going to speak about it. Now, without saying it, we can only assume, reading between the lines, we're assuming that Thobeka went and violated an agreement that they had to be like, we will not speak about our son's condition. Why? Why not? Because social media is harsh. You've got situations now where Kokos Koteni lost her son, who didn't have an esophagus. He couldn't swallow his own food and needed help, but he passed away. And she sat with Justice on her platform, the Venting Podcast, and they spoke about this thing. And some of the accusations were that she had used her child in witchcraft as a sacrifice for her success. You can only imagine the social media that Cassper Nyovest could have been accused of the same. Your son has got cancer. Obviously, this is what these people do for success. He's sacrificing his son for success. Other people could have accused them of so many other things. At the time, we were dealing with COVID vaccines. It could have been like, but did the son jab? Is it something else? It would have been a social media spectacle. Now, out of respect for Cassper, out of respect for Thobeka, out of respect for the little lighty man, Ukhoto, and out of respect for all the loved ones, it was like, let's keep this private. We don't need to tell this to society. It's not important. It's not going to add value. We're not trying to fundraise. We're not trying to raise awareness. We're actually going to focus on our child. And it seems like Thobeka went and violated that now. To be like, when it suits me, I will now speak about my son's condition. And not only will I speak about my son's condition, but I'll speak about it in the context of Cassper cheating on me with another woman. Anyone else, this is not me defending Cassper, please don't get me wrong. Anyone else could have been like, Cassper could have used the same story for his own convenience. My son had cancer, my son overcame cancer, he beat cancer, and that's when I found Jesus. And, I'm now releasing an album. I'm now a cancer awareness activist. I am now being funded by these non-profit organizations through my son to raise cancer awareness. He could have been convenient, but he wasn't. He stuck to the agreement that they had. We will keep this private. So some people would criticize Thobeka for doing that at that time and using it in that way. Now, Thobeka herself has been linked, and I don't know how true or not this is, has been linked to some type of relationship with Andile Pisane, who's also married the son of Mamkhize. They obviously have their reality show, Mamkhize, and last I checked, he's the chairman of Royal AM football club. Very colorful character himself, very funny as hell character himself. Cassper goes and takes full accountability. Now, Cassper makes the video, and in making the video, he acknowledges, I cheated on my baby mama. And this is not meant to be new because it is something that he acknowledged sitting with Mpumile Dwaba. It is something that he acknowledged sitting with Altido. It's not new information. It's, guys, I have owned up to this before. So what she told you was not new. What was new was now this piece of information about my son. And he went on to explain, yes, my son was diagnosed with cancer. Yes, my son had to be hospitalized. Yes, my son had to undergo chemo and he beat cancer. I acknowledge that it's something I didn't speak about. Why? I didn't speak about it because myself and the mom had agreed that we will not speak about the condition. But she decided to now speak about it without consulting me. But it's okay. I take full accountability. And he's sorry. Sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for hurting her family. I'm sorry for hurting my family. He owns it. Something that a lot of people, of course, would appreciate. And something that, a lot of people struggle with. And I've said, and I'll put my head on the chopping block. I've said before that women in particular struggle a lot with accountability. Thobeka herself, I'd like to think, would not fully acknowledge any accountability on her side. This is not me asking her to do so. No. It's me just saying, when these stories come out, where's your accountability? Where you did things wrong? Where Last week I made a short video I put on TikTok. I didn't put it on Instagram. I was attacked. On Instagram and on Twitter. I was attacked on Twitter, which I thought was really lame. I was saying that looking at the Nota Baloyi and Itumeleng Bokaba rape case, of which Nota was arrested, or he handed himself over to the police on Friday. Last I checked, he's in prison. I'm not sure how that story is going, but I'd been chatting to him days leading up to that. He had been posting WhatsApp conversations and other things. He'd gone on a podcast with Promise M, Own Your Narrative podcast, speaking about what had happened, etc., etc. I made a video saying, I think one of the lessons we have to take from this is that if you're a girl and you don't want to have sex with a man, do not go to his place. Now, some people are like, oh, that's rapey. Well, I'm like, you guys are stupid. But I acknowledge that there are people that are ignorant, undereducated, just don't have common sense on social media. I was saying, do not go over to a guy's place if you don't want to have sex with him. I said to guys, before a woman comes over, ask her, are you going to have sex with me? If she says no, be like, please don't come over. This is not to say that going over to a guy's place is consent. It's not. That's not to say if a girl says she's going to come over to your place, she's given you a green light. She has not. And there was a judgment that came out in the Pretoria High Court last week where women do not have to say no. Women don't have to push you off. Because she has not explicitly consented, she can then say that you raped her. It is being sent to the Constitutional Court, who will then review it and decide. I made a video about this. I made a video about Nota and Itumeleng. I'm speaking about accountability where now, when something happens, you need to be like, this happened. My boyfriend of the time cheated on me. My son was sick at the time. Now you have to acknowledge accountability. Cassper, my boyfriend, was fully there. He's a great father to our son. He was fully present while our son was sick. I could not have asked for a better father for my child, and he was there. Cassper cheated on me. He flopped. He hurt me. I was in pain. What did I do? I told him, I confronted him, I spoke about it, whatever, and take accountability and be like, you know what? It is what it is. The beauty of it, and Cassper speaks about this, I think, with Altido, is Thobeka herself says in her post that she has now accepted Christ as her savior. There are people that I know in my circles who are like, oh, Thobeka, I've been going with her to church. I know her very well. I think her mom was big in the church as well. Thobeka's only accepting Jesus now, but that's everyone's own religious and spiritual journey. Accountability. Cassper takes it fully. I now am no longer a supporter of full accountability without raising things that the other person has done, has said. This is not to add a but. This is not to escape accountability. That is to say, I have done these things. I am responsible for broken homes, but I did not act alone. I am not Joseph. I am not immaculate. I did not impregnate a Holy Spirit and a child was born in thin air. I created a broken home with another woman, and I will take accountability for my decisions, for cheating, for falling short, for whatever it is that I've done wrong. But then I have to explain that I did not act alone. There is another party there. And while I was doing all these things, what did this party do? These are the things that they did. This is not to say it is their fault. No, it is my fault. But I need to explain that this person was not sitting there idly being perfect, because we're all flawed people. And I kind of get sad where we are pushing so many people, including our Cassper, to take full accountability without telling us a full story, because we miss out on all the lessons. There are many lessons to be learned. There was a sick child. There was a relationship. There was cheating. There's cancer. We can learn about cancer. There's accountability. There's people finding Jesus and Christianity. There's so much to learn. But we're not learning much from the mother of the child. You know, amazing mom, being there for her child. But is there something we're missing? And if there's nothing we're missing, perfect. It's like, this woman is absolutely incredible. She's perfect in every way. But if she's not, allow us as men to learn and allow young women to learn. How did you overcome this? How did you deal with this? Did you get angry? Did you lose your shit? Did you attack his family? Did you, etc.? There's a lesson to be learned about Pulane as well, and it would be nice to learn her story. Because Thobeka says at the time when their child was in hospital, Pulane was flaunting her relationship with Cassper. Now, should Pulane take accountability as a woman and be like, you know what, I was wrong. I was wrong to actually post my relationship with Cassper while he was with another woman, while his child was ill. Or Pulane can be like, nah, that's not the full story. This lady is not being honest. The full story is, by the time I posted me and Cassper, maybe they'd split. Maybe Cassper had been lying to me. He told me they'd split, but they hadn't. Maybe this lady had confronted her. Maybe this had happened. I was in a relationship. That's not to say I was not supporting their child. I was praying with Cassper. I was supportive. But it does not mean, again, that I cannot love my man and love him loudly. Just because I'm posting him does not mean I'm diminishing his child's ill health. Does not mean I'm diminishing however his baby mom is feeling. This is real life, and I'm also living my life. And I've got nothing to be ashamed of. Or I'm so ashamed. I should never have posted. I should have been sensitive. I should have waited. Or how long should I wait? What if the child did not beat cancer? What if Cassper splits with you and we decide to get married? Must we keep our marriage or our wedding a secret? Must we keep our relationship a secret because the child is ill? I don't understand. Where do we draw the line? And that becomes a teachable moment for the rest of us to learn. At which point, after you've broken up with someone, should you let your new relationship be publicized? After how long after you get divorced is it fine to be in a new relationship, to get married again? Let us learn from each other. One of the major reasons I'm making this video is because I've got a personal gripe, a personal issue with some of these new age Christians and these Christians that have found revelations. Thou shalt not judge. Luckily, I'm not Christian anymore. I was Christian until 2006. I'm not Christian anymore. So I shalt judge. Cassper Vest is now a proud Christian. Shout out to him. Kanye West became a proud Christian at some point, to a point where he released an album, Jesus is King. I see now Russell Brand has been baptized. He's now a proud Christian. He goes on platforms. He starts with prayer. Jordan Peterson has become louder as a Christian, even though he's bashed the people of Palestine. At some point, he was saying Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, should bomb the hell out of Palestine. Tabanga as a devout Christian, Jordan Peterson. A brother of mine, Vusi Tembewayo, I see he's becoming more vocal about his Christianity and about God and about Jesus, where I think not so long ago, he was kind of like, look, I'm spiritual, not really religious. I respect everyone's religion, but it seems like he's more Christian now and more into Jesus. Kokos Koteni would be on Podcast and Chill at some point, looking like she was leaving Ubungoma and moving more towards Christianity. Even when she sat with Justice Shabalala, she'd then speak about how her God has not forsaken her, how God has loved her, how God has, etc., etc. So she seems to be moving more for Ubungoma, even though she still acknowledges her gift to some degree. She bashes some of his Angoma, sadly, but now she's here. Kabelo Mabalane, of TKZ, who at some point would be addicted to drugs, would go to rehab, would gain weight, would become an ambassador for long distance running and the comrades, not the Olympics, the comrades. He'd go and then become a pastor. I've had the privilege of watching him sermon at Rema Church in Randburg, in Johannesburg. fire preacher, speaks about being blood washed. Amazing speaker, very articulate, has inspired a lot of people. Listening to Nota speaking about how AKA went to Kabelo to seek guidance as a Christian. Listening to Cassper Nyovest speaking about going to be mentored by Kabelo Mabalane. Listening to Kabelo and Gail speaking about their marriage, their struggles, beautiful story. But this brand of Christianity for me that seems convenient is where I have an issue. Now, there's nothing wrong with living a sinful life, a life of sin, being flawed. We all make mistakes according to the Bible and according to the 10 commandments. There's nothing wrong with realizing I've made mistakes and I'm now choosing to try and live as well as I can in the image or in the likeness of Jesus, in the likeness of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the likeness of Buddha, or whoever it is that you believe in, following in the footsteps of Prophet Isaiah Shembe, if you wish. There's nothing wrong. Now, my issues start here. Number one, you go around from that point, and this is not me speaking about Cassper or any of these people I've mentioned. I'm speaking about the type of people that they represent. You're going around now with this holier than thou moral superiority. Don't do this, don't do that. Yeah, you're like, hey, Baba, you've been Christian for 2 days. Now all of a sudden you're condemning people, hellfire, God knows, the devil. Hey, Baba, breathe. You've been a Christian for 2 minutes. So a lot of these new Christians, these reborn, these blood-washed, I've been saved, they come with this energy that is sometimes really, really off-putting, patronizing, and condescending. Kanye himself, in some of his interviews, the way he was so Christ heavy, to a point of like almost condemning other people because they don't know Jesus. Who are you, bro? You're now Jesus' spokesperson? After being Christian, a newfound Christian for like 10 days, 40 days and 40 nights. No, I think some of them must really calm down, number one. Number two, after now being these, these new saints, they don't change aspects of their lives that benefit them. And this for me is probably like the bigger measure now of the truth of what you're saying and your intentions and your integrity. Because anyone who is a true orthodox, traditional, fundamental Christian will know that even in the Bible, God warns about these so-called new Christians that are going to go around, or not Christians per se, these newfound worshippers of God who are going to go around as ambassadors, but who are basically wolves in sheep clothing, who are going to be convenient with the word. They will not sacrifice, they will not struggle, they will not lose out, they will keep their wealth, they will remain winning, they will remain doing whatever it is that they want because it serves their agenda. But only here, now they Christian, now they condemn. I'm almost 40 years old. In 2 years, I'll be 40 years old. And the number of guys, men I've been meeting, women as well, late 30s, early 40s, late 40s, 50s, who go around preaching to late teens, early 20s, preaching fire about sex, about porn, about getting drunk, about partying, as if they were never there, without the sensitivity of being like, look, I'm older, I've seen life, I've made a lot of mistakes. Please watch out for these things. Don't condemn. Be like, I'm young, I was young like you. But the number of those I've seen coming with this from an ivory tower, condescending tone. I know, you don't know. It's like you lived your whole life sleeping with people's daughters, your whole life swearing, fornicating, getting drunk, partying, getting debaucherously wealthy, and doing all these things. Now that you've seen the light, and we appreciate that you've seen the light, you're going around advising, which I fully endorse, but you're going around judging and dismissing and acting holier than thou. Nah, dog. That's why a lot of young kids sometimes don't listen to old niggas. They're like, hey, dog, like you're old. You've expired. The reason you're telling us this is because no one wants to listen to your music anymore. It's because you're not relevant anymore. Now you want to be relevant in Christ. Now you want to be relevant in the church and quote scriptures. Nah, dog. Be relevant when it matters. Sacrifice when it matters. Now, when you look at the sacrifice of someone like Cassper, Again, huge fan of Cassper. I've got a love-hate relationship because it comes from being fake humble and those things. Cassper has not let go of Biliato. Hasn't. And I understand. It's income, has to feed his family, he has to provide for himself. He has not cut Biliato, which is an alcohol brand, which other people will abuse, sadly. Yes, he has said on the Altito podcast, guys, try to not get drunk, enjoy it, have a good time, it's fine. But you have not sacrificed worldly material benefits in this newfound religion that you're in. You are still enjoying the perks. Is Cassper willing to not perform certain songs? I don't know if it's Doc Shebeleza where he speaks about impregnating Uboiti Tulo. It speaks about getting married to Minnie Dlamini, swearing in some of these songs, flaunting his wealth and success in some of these songs. Like, is he willing to sacrifice that music and say, no, that was secular music I was singing at a time when I had not been saved again, when I had not been born again? Or is he still going to enjoy the perks of performing those songs, the perks of enjoying the royalties of that music? These worldly things that were part of what he calls his darkness, where he feels like at the time when he was addicted to sex and those things, God wasn't really there. Is he willing to do that? These other people I've mentioned, Kanye West, it's convenient now to release an album and make money from church music. And gospel's got money, boy. Kanye West would go and sit in a mega church with Joel Austin. And it's like, I found Jesus, I want to give my testimony. But also, dog, you're also coming to market yourself. You've released a gospel album and you know gospel makes money. Cassper Nyovest on Altito is like, hey, dog, I'm going to look into getting into gospel because there's money. And Cassper is an entrepreneur. He's a capitalist. When hip-hop is pumping, he's there with the hip-hop. When Amapiano is pumping, very quick with Amapiano, making amazing music. Munati Mpulaye, Zakipa. And of course, he can dance. It's convenient for him now with Amapiano to make money from piano. See the same thing with Reason leaving hip-hop and becoming Sizwe Alakain here with Amapiano / Kwaito. Now, Jesus, Christianity, now you're going into gospel. Now you're there with Iron Dantanzi, you're there with Dumim Kokstad, you're there with Benjamin Dube, with Dr. Rebecca Malope. By the way, may Soli Moholo rest in peace, a titan of gospel music and the religious fraternity in South Africa. Now you're going to be making gospel money. Now, the convenience again. Jub before he goes to prison, huge fan of Jub as well. Jub before he goes into prison makes Ndikokele with the Jazeel Brothers. Brilliant song, probably makes the most amount of money in music in his life. Goes to prison, culpable homicide, kills kids while he's racing. I think he was under the influence of drugs. Comes out, does a remix of Ndikokele with, I think Rebecca Malope is she in there? I think. Lebo Sekhobel is there. I think Benjamin Dube is there. Black Diamond is there. And a couple of other artists are in that track as well. He says the proceeds of that song will go to the victims, the families of the victims of that atrocity, which is a beautiful and noble gesture. We appreciate it. But he's going to make money as well. He's becoming relevant again in the music industry after being blocked out. He said to Tusomizi on his cooking show, speaking about how people had written him off. Again, convenient, good work. But what is he also doing at the same time? He's hosting We Are Jola 99. We Are Jola 99 on Moja Love. Popular show. We all watched it. We laughed. People are cheating on each other. The South African cheaters. Jub is there, not there to meet people who are fornicating, cheating, and to preach the word of God and to be like, guys, what you're doing is wrong. I want to heal and help you. I want you to find Jesus. He's there fueling the fire. My sister, you're going to let him just do that to you? He's poking and provoking. Again, like Cassper, he's trying to feed his family. It's entertainment, it's his job. But is this what would Jesus do? Is this in the spirit of your Lord and Savior, in the spirit of the Christian God? I think it's convenient. Are you willing to sacrifice that money and literally work your way up? As someone like Kabelo Mabalane, I'm a huge fan, as I said. If Kabelo Mabalane was not going to be making money from the church, because he's become a celebrity pastor now, I can imagine the amounts he charges to consult, to preach, to travel. He's a celebrity pastor. If he were to lose all of that money like Job in the Bible, would he still be doing that? Or would he be like, hey, let me actually go and do a TKZ reunion concert to make some cash for the family? Is he willing to sacrifice the worldly things to actually walk in the footsteps of Jesus, who would walk, who would feed people, who would chill with the prostitutes and the pimps, the drug dealers? Or are you now better than some of these people? This is not me again criticizing them. I'm fans of these people. I'm worried about a segment of people that become these born-agains, become condescending, patronizing. And then when you look at how their lives have so-called changed, most of it is convenient. It's convenient. Kanye West, after Jesus is King, goes and makes Donda. It's gone back to being the same Kanye. He's now walking in the streets with his new lady Bianca, who's always naked. Is that in the likeness of Jesus? Some of the ways he moves, the way that he attacked aspects of the Jewish community, is that in the spirit of Jesus? Still highly controversial. Is Kanye preaching love and unity the way he should be? Or is he being convenient and this kind of just serves his personal agenda? Huge fan of Andrew Tate, at some point the most Googled man on the planet. Andrew Tate finds Allah, finds Prophet Muhammad after being arrested. Now he is a Muslim, a devout Muslim. He's quoting scriptures from the Quran. I'm like, this is convenient. Now you're going to jail and now you found Islam. Interesting. And Islam is a very tight, protective community. Now you are walking in the spirit of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But now I look at your life. Has Andrew Tate sacrificed the way he makes money? Because he used to make money from these live video girls feeding this porn, hypersexualized world out there. Has he sacrificed that income, or is he still making money from that haram work that he was doing? Has he stopped gambling? I saw him and his brother Tristan. I think Tristan is Christian, if I'm not mistaken. Tristan the Christian. They were speaking about cryptocurrencies and the like. Are they gambling? Gambling is haram. Have they stopped drinking alcohol? I'm not expecting them to change overnight. Trust. I'm not. Snap your fingers and now you are Jesus or Muhammad reborn. No. I'm expecting that when you change, we see the sacrifices and the change and we see the work. Cassper said it himself with LT, like, look, it's going to take work, dog. I'm going to struggle. It's not like when I see a hand, I'm not going to be like, yo, but then quickly I'm going to be like, hey, I just saw the biggest bombs. Hey, hallelujah. No, I'm not expecting them to change overnight, but I am expecting a sacrifice. It cannot be that you come from a history of so-called dark living, and then when you change into the light, you're not willing to lose the income of the dark living. If anything, you are just increasing a revenue stream. Andrew Tate has now got the protection of the Muslim community. He's now appealing to the Muslim community. They are now maybe going to buy into him, invest in him, etc. That is convenient. I don't know how much of a big Christian he is, but I remember a billionaire, a dollar billionaire from Zimbabwe, Strive Masiyiwa, very big donor in the church. And at a time when he was fighting ZANU-PF and Robert Mugabe, looking for a license for telecoms, the Christian community, not just in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, around the world, donated a lot of money to his cases to fight. If there's one thing, boy, if you don't know, you touch the church, you touch the mosque, you touch the Jewish synagogue, you will see flames. Now, we're not talking hell flames after you die. We're talking real flames on earth. If you've ever heard of jihad, if you've ever heard of Al-Qaeda, if you've ever heard of Boko Haram, if you've ever heard of the Christian Crusades, if you've ever heard of what's called anti-Semitism and the fire that these people will come at you, boy, shutting down your bank accounts, making sure that you get canceled in real time, making sure that you don't make money, making sure that you don't get opportunities because you've touched their religious beliefs. Those are very strong communities. And many people on their ascension to power will, when it's convenient, go and hide and borrow and be seen with Pastor Mboro, will be seen with Bushiri. I think Julius Malim and Floyd Chibambu were there at some point. Will go and sit with Isonto Lagashembe and take off their shoes and and get on their knees there, or Ramaphosa and the like. Will go and visit all Likhanyan and even give them money or Patrice to fill up stadiums. They will do all these convenient things. They'll call the imams to come and pray. We'd like to call the pastors. We'd like to call the archbishop of the Anglican Church when it's convenient, because it is a power play. It is not genuine. I'm not Christian. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Rasta. I'm not Buddhist. I'm not Scientologist. I'm nothing. I'm just a person living their lives. I've got my own belief system of penalism, my own so-called religion with my own guiding principles. People can criticize me for that. It's okay. But I'm judging and I'm watching this thing that you claim to stand for and your hypocrisy. You are a cultural man. And I'm like, I want to see you living your truth, or at least trying your best. You are Musutu, you are Umpedi when it suits you, when it's convenient. But every other day, you're this black English person living this Western life, enjoying the spoils of apartheid and colonialism, etc., when it suits you. And then when you're losing, when you're on the losing side, all of a sudden, no, but my culture and my heritage, and as an African, some of us can see through the bullshit. I really do believe that Kanye West used mental illness as an invisible cloak so that whenever he has outbursts, he can be like, well, I'm mentally ill, I'm on medication, so that he doesn't get cancelled. I do believe that Kanye used Christianity when it was convenient so that the world doesn't cancel him, and Christians who are zombies, some of these voters we have in this country who are just blind cult followers, will defend him. I believe Andrew Tate did the same. I would not be surprised, because they've attempted to cancel Russell Brand if it's the same. Some of these other celebrities, I think when their careers are at a peak, you don't see them converting, Bob. When their careers start dipping, all of a sudden they want to be there in church, giving testimony, telling their story, saying they found the gospel, quoting scriptures. Because now this retirement plan is, I'm going to be a pastor, I'm going to be called to churches, the Christian community. Because I'm a musician, maybe I'll be able to collaborate with some gospel artists, because these guys make a lot of money. They're big, boy. Solomon Mahlang, Soli, Prasoli. Do you know, hey, when these people fill up, joyous celebration. Come on, boy. So part of why I was making this video, besides speaking about the story between Thobeka Majosi, Pulane, and Cassper, and separating being a father from being a boyfriend that doesn't do well, that story. Speaking about the beauty of Cassper Nyovest actually going and being accountable for his acts. We hope that he was doing it genuinely for his fans and for the people, and he's not doing it because there's money at stake for PR. We see like Mihlali, who never get cancelled. Then we see, I think I have to go and watch this episode. People said I must go check it out. Umsaki being cancelled by certain brands, and you're like, who gets cancelled? Who doesn't? Nota, luckily, can't really get cancelled because it's not attached to any brands. Your R. Kelly's, they tried to cancel Chris Brown, Women for Change. They kind of fell short, sadly, because South African girls were like, hey, Baba, we're going to see Chris Brown. Sensational. They want to be at the stadium, sold out. They had to get another day. They're like, hey, we'll deal with GBV after Chris Brown has left. And also, like, it's from like 15 years ago. I mean, really, even Rihanna forgave him. So who are we? So I was just raising those stories, but I also wanted to raise this thing of, for people who are rooted in their faith, be it Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Rastafarianism, Judaism, whatever it is that you're, penalism, penalist God. I'm not expecting you to be perfect. I'm not expecting you to be the embodiment of Christ, Muhammad, whoever, Moses, Abraham. But I am expecting you to show a change. They speak about a real apology is change behavior. I'd like to see a change. But when I see convenience, when I see money-making opportunities, when I see you riding the kind of culture of blind faith of certain religious followers so that they can defend you, so that they can buy from you, give you their money, open up platforms for you so that you can perform at churches. Next thing, you're performing at Rima. Next thing, you're performing at the Universal Church close to Baragwanath Hospital. Next thing, you're performing at other mega churches because now you found a new revenue stream. Now you're peddling Christianity and the Bible because it's giving you more access to more gigs. Meanwhile, you're not sacrificing the real parts of your life. You know, when you look at the 10 Commandments, you're still violating a lot of them. But when it's convenient, when you're old, now you want to retire from the game. After you've destroyed so many young girls' lives, after you've slept with so many men and your body count is here, now you want to be a child of God because no one cares about you. You've expired. Now you're trying to find relevance in the church, in the mosque. You're trying to raise funding. You're trying to pretend like, but you're actually not. You're actually doing devilish work, is what you're doing. According to your beliefs, not mine, your beliefs. And I think I'll end it there. Hope you guys will have a great and blessed Sunday. I'm not going to read your comments. If you have any comments that is very important, please drop it in the main comments. Yeah, and I appreciate your support. If you feel like this is really worth a debate and a discussion, let's debate and discuss in the comments. I'll jump in there. I'll chat to you. Thank you to all my paying members. I appreciate you for being paying members to my channel. You contribute to the work that I do. Have a great and blessed Sunday. To those going to church, enjoy church. To those spending time with their families and other loved ones, please enjoy it. Let's continue trying to be better human beings, all of us, not just the people who are judging as unkulunkulu, tachi, God penzo, God penzo. I'm just saying, watch how you move and be willing to sacrifice. And if you're not willing to sacrifice, maybe you're not being genuine. I literally left Christianity in 2006 because I read the Bible and I realized I was not living a Christian life. And I refused to go around saying I'm Christian when my life was nothing but. But I see so many so-called Christians, still got the Rory songs of this world who are keeping it strong, and we appreciate them. And we hope to see more of them. They inspire us even if we don't share the same beliefs. Be careful of people that are hypocrites. Love you guys. Cheers.